That is why we asked people to come early so we could sign people in, and therefore we would know that we would be within the health and safety limit for this community centre. What we have organised is for 2 further meetings to be held next week. One in the afternoon on Wednesday at 3 o'clock. Exactly the same format as this. That will allow others to come on Wednesday. And then on Wednesday evening, as I understand it, and we'll have to put some notices out on this, there'll be a further evening meeting. Once again, same format, and therefore between the three meetings, we should be able, therefore, I hope, to be able to get everybody who wants to hear about what's going on informed. Now, this is only the start. What you'll hear tonight, in a moment, is that there is going to be a consultation process which will be ongoing. But let us start the meeting. This is a Ladywood Ward forum, and therefore there is some formality that we need to start with, and then we will bring the speakers in from the City Council and from Berkeley Home St Joseph's in order to give you the details.
How many rooms, how many seats will be in the next meeting?
We'll start the meeting. We've got quite a lot of important stuff to discuss throughout the evening, but first of all, we've got the usual ward forum business. So I'll say welcome to everybody on behalf of Councillor Gore and myself, and thank you for coming along to this ward forum meeting.
I think your head can.
What a shame.
So thank you. We've organised the meeting specifically to focus upon the regeneration of the central Ladywood neighbourhoods in preparedness for the consultation which will begin in the autumn and will take place over the months and years to come. We organised by special request, particularly of NHS workers, who asked whether they could have a daytime meeting, and that will happen at 3 o'clock here next Wednesday. And now there will also be another evening meeting which will cover the same regeneration information on the same format. So the same people will be here. So really we'll put out news about those meetings on the usual Ward Forum mailing list, the Ladywood Ward News email list, which I think many of the people here today have actually been party to, because you've got onto the list, and we will put people who've signed in today onto that Ladywood Ward News email list as well, so that you know from now on what's going on. And if you've signed in and you live in the regeneration area, you will also appear on the regeneration email list, so that the City Council and developers can get in touch with you and invite you to the upcoming events and consultations throughout the months and years to come. So I've told you about that. I'm going to introduce Claire Thomas, who is the manager of this Ward Forum meeting, and she'll be taking notes during the meeting. I should think that there'll be people from the City Council team who will also be making notes on what you say and what you want still to know. And we've circulated the agenda on all of the chairs, and there are spare copies on the door, and we will be sticking to that. And we've also circulated a code of conduct which we use for Ward Forum meetings, which we've used over the years to ensure that everybody gets a chance to speak, everybody is listened to, and everybody is respected. So have a look at that if you've got access to one, it's common sense, and it's about treating everybody's views with equality. There's a Brewer's Bugle on the chairs. We had 140 printed by the Ladywood History Group. It tells you about the history of generation in Ladywood, in the Ladywood, central Ladywood area over the years. We're going to have more printed. So if you come to either of the two meetings next week, and I suspect there'll be some on the reception of the centre, you'll be able to pick up a copy if you didn't get one already. Right, and that's about me so far. We come on to item 2, which is notice of recording. This is a city council type of meeting, and so the press and public can take photographs and can record. We already know that Norman from the Ladywood History Group and producer of the Brewer's Bugle will be taking photographs as we go along. So I'm not aware of anybody else who intends to do that. Okay? Just to let you know. Our next item is item 3, something which business we have to carry out at this Ward Forum meeting, is an update on grant funding applications, in this case to the Council's Commonwealth Games Celebrating Communities, Commonwealth Games Legacy Fund. And I think Councillor Board, if you want to lead off on that, because we've had 3, haven't we? The first one was from the Friends of Chamberlain Gardens. That's a parks group over the other side of the Middleway, and it's called Ladywood Healthy Bodies. We're in support of that. It's a series of events on Chamberlain Gardens Park. The group are running it through a local group, and they will be responsible for carrying out their activities. The next one, the other one, is from the Ladywood Community Project on behalf of the Ladywood Fun Day Collective for this year's Ladywood Fun Day, which will take place on Saturday from 12 o'clock till 4 on the field behind St John's. We are in favour of that. We've had a look at that and we do approve of that. The third one is from a group which we honestly don't know of. It's called Affinity Active, and having looked at the detailed application, we do not approve that particular application, do we? Yes, it has no presence in the Ladywood area, and it's not particularly targeted to communities in Ladywood Ward. We also feel that the Friends of Chamberlain Gardens Park are also proposing similar activities about helping us and getting out in the park and so on, and that is from a known and proven group. So we are not minded to support the Affinity Active application. Okay? Right. I think this is what you all really come forward for. We've received lots and lots of questions from local people, and the presenters will try to answer them within their presentations. And we'll listen to the presentations and then we'll move to the questions session. But first of all, Albert will take you through really what's been happening since early 2019 and introduce the whole concept of our wish to regenerate Ladywood.
Okay, we've got hopefully some slides that many of you will be able to see, but I'll just say a few words to help those who aren't able to view the screen. Let's introduce the team to start with. Next slide. Look. What we have here is a list of those who will be presenting this evening. Catherine James, who is the Assistant Director of Property for Birmingham City Council. Catherine, will you stand up? You'll be hearing from Catherine in a moment. Naomi Morris, who's the head of housing strategy. Where's Naomi? She was here. Justin Brennan, who's the housing development manager. Helen Shervington, who's the senior housing strategy manager. Where's Helen? Oh, she was also around a moment ago. Nick Matthews, who's the project delivery manager, and this is Nick here. And from St Joseph's, we have Joel Spittles, who's the land director, and Will Rimmel, who's the development director from St Joseph's. Okay. Just as Kath indicated, thank you for taking the time to come along. What we've arranged for is the representatives from Birmingham City Council and indeed St Joseph's to take you through the early issues on the Ladywood regeneration scheme. Now, it's not going to be possible to deal with every question and therefore to allay all the fears that undoubtedly are being expressed already, but we will try our best to do that. And that will be followed, as I say, the presentation will be followed by opening the meeting up to yourselves. We have received questions in advance, but there are roving mics which we will intend to pass around so that we can ensure that the appropriate people are asking their questions. We thought it would be useful if, in fact, you appreciated that we had communications going out throughout Ladywood. The first of these went out in early in early February 2019, where we sent a leaflet out to every resident in the area. I know I personally delivered them, so I know every household received them. Now this was for this was a leaflet. This was a leaflet which introduced a ward forum meeting at which we were going to introduce the proposals the City Council was taking forward on regeneration of Central Ladywood. That was followed by a letter, and I have a copy here, which went out in June 2019, once again to every single household in the Central Ladywood regeneration area. That went out by post. It was delivered to residents by post. What we were doing in the meantime is accumulating names of people who wanted to either be informed of what was happening or to join a steering group. And therefore we put out in the period August 2019, October 2019, and December 2019, letters to all those individuals in the Central Ladywood area who had suggested they wanted to be involved or brought up to date with what was going on. That was followed by a leaflet which went out in December 2019. It was a Ladywood regeneration leaflet. It went once again, to all households in the Central Ladywood area. It was hand-delivered to all households. That was then followed, and so there is something further. That was followed on the 19th of June, when Kath and I wrote to every single resident, and that letter to every single resident was posted to the addresses in the area. So what I feel is that we have tried to keep you in touch. There is a period where there was no communication with you. We were in lockdown. And indeed, the City Council was in active consultation with developers, which Kath and I were not privy to. It was only 2 weeks or so ago that we were made known it was made known to us that the City Council had come to an agreement with Berkeley Homes and their subsidiary St Joseph's over a scheme to take forward a regeneration proposal for Central Ladywood. And that's why on the 19th of June we sent a letter out, as I say, by post to all residents in the area. So I do feel that we've tried to keep you in touch. This meeting and the meetings next week are the first steps in trying to further, to ensure further that you're aware of what is going on. So I now want to introduce Catherine James. Catherine, if you come and stand up here at the front, Catherine will take you through the first of the slides.
Hi everyone. Can you hear me at the back? Can you hear me now at the back?
It's quiet from here, to be honest.
It's very quiet.
I think the NOS needs to go.
Is that better? Okay, thank you. So, hi, I'm Catherine James. I'm the Assistant Director of Property in Birmingham, and thank you for allowing us to come today to start talking to you about this project. Thank you to Sir Albert and Councillor Hart for the introduction. So this is really the start of our communication with you. So we're trying to talk you through where we are and next steps and try and allay some of your concerns here tonight. So what is the Ladywood Regeneration Project? Well, it's a 20-year regeneration programme, and the idea is that we will be able to work with our private sector partners, Berkeley Homes, with the council and with yourselves, and we'll deliver over 7,000 new homes. The scheme will offer affordable... Is that better? Yeah. Right, so affordable homes for the community, state-of-the-art schools. There'll be over 14 hectares of quality green space. There's green space at the moment in Ladywood, but often it's open, it's not well used. So the idea is that we'll create quality open space that your children and families can use. There'll be 2 new public parks, improved public transport links, business incubator space, community facilities, health facilities, and over the life of the project, we're looking at generating over 10,000 new jobs and 1,000 apprenticeships. So I'm going to pass over to my colleague Helen, who's going to talk to you about why we think we need to be doing this.
Hi, good evening everybody. I'm Helen Shervington. I'm actually a living post. I'm a senior housing strategy and modernisation manager. And part of my role is going to be around delivering Birmingham's new housing strategy, which includes also trying to increase the amount of affordable housing in the city as well. I just want to actually say to everybody, thank you for attending. And I know we had kind of like a bit of a moment, but I want to say a big thank you to the people outside as well, because it just really shows what a strong community this is, and that's really important. So with all the change that's being proposed, I think it's really important we share with you kind of the why we want to do this. So that obviously it's a bit difficult for you to see there, so I'm going to talk through some of that. So part of the reason is, particularly for Birmingham City Council, a lot of our housing stock in the area is actually quite outdated and not energy efficient. And it's also poorly designed, and not just the properties, the area hasn't been designed with the community in mind in terms of how you can benefit from those spaces. And so as part of what my colleague had alluded to, at the moment, you know, there's lots of patches of green space in Ladywood, but it's kind of positioned quite awkwardly along the highway, and it's not designed in a way that your families and your children can benefit from. There's also many social and economic issues in the area, whether that's low employment, low income, access to housing, around just the general infrastructure in the city. And these are just some of the reasons that we want to make these changes. Also, I have to be honest as well, in terms of we do have a housing crisis in Birmingham. The demand for housing far outstrips the supply. And so that has to be something going forward so we can meet the needs of our growing population in Birmingham. So these are just some of the reasons we want to invest in infrastructure in Ladywood. We want your homes to be warmer, more energy efficient, cheaper to run. We also want the area to be designed in a way that improves the quality of life of people who live here. So that's more employment opportunities, more safe green and play spaces, and also opportunities for young people as well. And we want to increase the amount of quality affordable housing that can meet the needs of the growing population too. So ultimately, and actually the community deserves better, and I will share with you, I actually used to live in Ladywood, 91 Brecon Tower. I've worked in Ladywood for many years, the Ladywood neighbourhood office, so I recognise many of you here and I've spoken with today. And I also still have family in the area, so I am actually invested in terms of how this goes forward. I don't feel separate from this community. And so as I say, I am very much going forward with this with the community in mind, and I think it's important that I share that. So one of the things that the council needed to do in terms of being able to achieve some of this is get a private partner, because it's not something the city can afford to do alone. And that's the reason for part of this partnership. And I hope when St Joseph share their slides with you, their approach and the way they've done some similar regeneration in other parts of the country, that you'll agree that they are the right partner, that we've made the right choice there. Thank you.
Only partner would agree that they made the choice for them.
Hi, so why haven't we been able to tell you any of this before? And that's a really important question, and one that, you know, I totally get. The reason for that is that we had what we call a formal process to appoint a development partner, and that's taken some time, and that has to be done in a certain way in terms of sort of council governance and legal position. So we've only now been able to get to Cabinet and say to Cabinet, we recommend that we go into partnership with Berkeley Homes to deliver this regeneration in Ladywood. Now, we went to Cabinet in June this year, and just before then, we'd spoken with the ward members and we'd agreed that we would get some communication out to all of you so that you were cited on it before it became public. The next thing we've done is hold this public meeting, and, you know, my apologies, if we could have had a bigger venue we would have got more of you in on this first event. But as Sir Albert said, we've got a couple more sessions, so we'll try and get everybody who wants to here to listen to what we've got to say. So we're going to set out in these slides our proposals for future engagement, because this is really just the first step in what will be quite a long journey for us all. Next slide, please, Nick. So we know you've got a load of concerns. They've come through to us, and they're things that we, through experience on other schemes, we know, we understand how you're feeling. So we know, you know, we've just put a few questions up there that we think you're going to be thinking about. You know, will I need to move out when the work begins? I'm worried I won't be able to buy my home. My children go to school and are happy. What's going to happen to them? I've lived here all my life and I don't want to move out. How soon will things begin? And if I'm in phase one, when does that happen? When's this all going to start? So I think, hopefully, those are picking up some of your concerns. And through the rest of the presentation, hopefully we'll address some of those. And I'm going to hand over to my colleague Justin Brennan, who works in the housing team, who will start talking to you about some of the answers to some of that.
Thank you, Catherine. So, as Catherine said, on the previous slide, we've had a number of questions, and we're aware that people are going to be concerned about what's going to happen in the regeneration scheme. So, the slide I'm going to talk about is how will this affect the community? How will you be affected by the actions? So, Birmingham City Council tenants and registered provider tenants, they will be rehoused in one move, and this is something that we've never had the opportunity to do before across a lot of schemes in Birmingham. It has a seamless transition. We know it's a difficult time. The Birmingham City residents in the 7 tower blocks will remain in occupation while the work is carried out. So they won't have to move while those refurbishment works are taking place. Private residents will be offered the opportunity to move to a new home on the estate, and also homes for owners will be purchased. Acquisitions will start on a voluntary basis and only commence compulsory purchase orders as a last resort. Non-residential land, so that's like retail units in private ownership, will be acquired by the council through private negotiations on a case-by-case basis. And we, the City Council, alongside St Joseph, will have dedicated support in place, so the residents affected will have their housing needs considered, their housing options considered, and their needs, and that's across the whole of the programme. We'll be looking to set up some specific groups as well. We've mentioned the need to have some extra meetings because of the capacity issues tonight, but going forward in the consultation strategy, we're going to target certain groups of residents that are affected by different things, so we can do a targeted response and look at the options for all those people. So I'd now like to hand over to Joel from St Joseph's to talk to you a bit more about the detail. Thank you.
So we will take questions and comments at the end, please. I expect good manners and respect for everybody's views in this meeting.
Thank you, and thank you all for attending tonight. My name is Joel Spittles. I'm one of the directors at St Joseph, and we were invited here today by the councillors to come today, introduce ourselves, St Joseph, what we do, where we've done similar things in the past, and what the programme of engagement will be going forward. So, who's St Joseph? Well, we're part of the Barclay Group, a house builder, and we were established in 2017. We're a mixed-use developer, and we specialise on city centre sites.
What is mixed use? Sorry, you need to explain.
Can you ask? So we'll be taking questions mainly from people who live in the regeneration.
It's a really good question. It's a good question. Mixed use is a variety of uses, be it residential, retail, would it be offices, across the spectrum essentially. So our aim across everything that we do, be it large or small, is to create unique, well-connected, welcoming places where people and communities can thrive in the long term. And in the last 3 years, we've contributed over £1 billion to facilities and services for local communities. What does that mean? Well, that's things like schools, that's new parks, that's doctors' surgeries, and the like. We've built over 10,000 homes in that period as well, and we currently have 2 sites within Birmingham City Centre where we'll deliver over 1,100 homes in the coming years. So this is truly unique for us at Berkeley and St Joseph. As Catherine and the team have said, we've not at this stage been able to engage with anyone. That's been governed by the selection process. But our approach is genuinely threefold. First is to put people first, to understand your needs, what you want, what you don't want, and how we can communicate with you on that basis. Then we need to look at what the places and spaces might look like. We believe in creating sustainable, welcoming, safe places that people can live, work and play. And only then, when we get those things right, do we focus on what the buildings look like and how that fits in around the aspirations of the community.
Put your order wrong.
Your order's wrong. You put your order in the wrong way.
As I said earlier, we're a Birmingham-based business, St Joseph. We've currently built a site here which I've got an image of. This is Snowhill Wharf and Gunwater. This is finished now. You can go and have a look, see it, feel it, touch it, what it might do.
Is it affordable? Can we afford it?
We've also got another scheme on the other side of Birmingham, in east side, known as Glasswood Locks. That's another 700 homes.
Is it affordable?
It's affordable.
And I appreciate these numbers. 400, 700 is a big jump between that and 7,000 homes, which are being proposed at Ladywood. So here's an indication of some of our experience on other big regeneration sites, which the first one of which is Woodbury Down. This was a development that we worked with the London Borough of Hackney on, who were seeking to get some investment to improve the quality of their housing stock, the public facilities, the community space that goes with it.
You live in one of those.
Woodbury Down now is home to 5,700 new homes, 6 hectares of public open space. We've invested heavily in education and local infrastructure, and we've got a new community centre which operates, and that went in before any of the houses were built. It's run and manned by the people of Woodbury Down, and that's been a real success.
Concrete jungle.
Kidbrooke Village is another example of where we've done similar estate regeneration. This was the former Ferrier estate in the London Borough of Greenwich. Similar, they asked for public sector partners come in to invest to improve housing stock and to improve the overall offer to residents.
Yes.
We've delivered 4,000 homes there, or almost 5,000, and invested a significant amount into local infrastructure and education.
Please, can we ask that people just refrain from shouting out? The sooner we get the presentation over with, the sooner we can get on to questions. This is just holding us back. Please give St Joseph speakers the opportunity to put across to them what it is they're trying to do.
That's a bit about our experience. I've got my colleague Will Rymel here as well, who's going to talk about our proposed engagement timescales with the community. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. Again, thank you all for allowing us the opportunity to come here and speak to you this evening. This is obviously the first introduction of us and the rest of the people that are here this evening to you. It would have been nice if we could have done it sooner, but this is the first opportunity. As Sir Albert has said, we plan to be here again next week. What I'd like to talk to you this evening about is really what the next 6 months look like from an engagement perspective. I'm keen, and the team are keen to work with existing community groups. We'd like to establish, alongside the current ward forum, a Ladywood community forum, and a design committee. The idea of this is to to get to know and get to meet individuals, groups, to understand all of the key issues and concerns, and in understanding it we can then hopefully evolve and address and work on a scheme for the future that everyone in this room and the wider community can be proud of. In doing that, we're talking about stakeholder briefings, community planning workshops. We'd like to do some school engagement, which we've done in the past, which is fantastic to get the younger generation involved as well. My colleague mentioned one of the schemes we've done previously at Woodbury Down, and there is, once those groups have formed, it would be fantastic. We have spoken about getting representatives from the community down to see these schemes and to see what this can look like. All of this will be massively helped by identifying a partnership hub within the Ladywood community where we would look to set up a base so we can be in amongst this regeneration area. The long term, or sorry, the medium term, which obviously is 6 to 24 months on there, is where we build upon the relationships, or hopefully the relationships and the groups that we can touch on in the next 6 months, to start the public consultation and the planning application process and consultation that goes with that. That again will be helped by a commitment to have an on-site partnership hub. If we can get it earlier and we can identify the right location and make it work, we will. In terms of the planning application, that actually comes after 24 months. We've got so much work to do to listen to you, to listen to your concerns. So the planning application will not be submitted for 2 or 3 years from now. The council then have to determine that planning application. That can take another 12 or 18 months. And as this all evolves, we desperately want to keep talking to you. Now we've sort of come out this evening, which is the very first opportunity. That is our plan, and we'll have to take questions after, I think, a few more slides.
We'll move to questions now. What I plan to do is to move, starting with this side of the meeting, from front towards the back of the room, and then move backwards towards the front of the room. And I will really ask for people who live within the regeneration area, shown on the maps which most of you have. I'll give you first priority, and then we'll do another trawl for people who live in Ladywood Ward and want to know more, because of course you come into Central Ladywood, as we call it, and use the services, this centre, so you've got an interest in what happens on Central Ladywood, on the Ladywood regeneration as well. So can we look at people moving from towards the front, towards the back, on this side of the room, and a roving mic will come to you. People living within the regeneration area first.
What does that include?
Could you give your street first?
Does that include people who haven't? I've got my church has a property literally outside here. Is that
we are concentrating on
just on residents?
We're concentrating on people who live within the regeneration zone as it is now. Okay. We'll come in later.
I live in the regeneration. I live in Ladywood Close. The first question that I want to ask is, there's been a bit of rumours going on about leaseholders and freeholders, those that have bought their properties. Now in Ladywood, as you know, you've got a lot of people over the age of 60 that have bought their properties, had the government scheme where they got the discount to buy their properties, and now they're being forced to buy. By the time you compulsory pay them, they're not going to have enough money to buy another property within the scheme, let alone in an area that they desire, unless you're trying to force them to Aston, Lascelles, where they shouldn't need to go at that age. What do you plan to do for those residents?
Since the age of 30s or 40s, when we moved around here as a family. She has purchased her home, expecting to stay out the rest of her life. What are you going to do about my mother, who's in her own home now, it's a leasehold. Where are you going to think you're going to put her? I want to know what all these answers I want for my mother and for people like myself who's decided to take the shame and live in Ladywood and make our homes our own. So we've invested to stay here now and see our retirement days out. What are you going to tend to do with us? You're going to push us out? Like I said, with the compulsory buy, give us not enough money so we can afford to buy something else in a nice area, so we can still feel proud? Yeah. Or can we afford to live and stay in Ladywood as we wanted to in the first place?
Could you answer that? Yeah. And that will be the answer to that type of question, rather than having the question repeated.
Yes, I'm happy to answer that. Thank you for the question. So yes, obviously there are a number of people who live in Ladywood who've either bought their house under the right to buy system back in the day or even recently, or other private homeowners. So we fully acknowledge that there are probably about 500 people in that category. It was mentioned in one of the slides, but I'll go into a bit more detail. So the proposal is, but what's very different about this scheme than perhaps other regeneration schemes we've done, is that we really want to keep the community together here. So we're not looking to be moving people out of Ladywood if they wish to stay in Ladywood. So there would be a number of options open. The city could either by agreement buy that house, or they could be offered a new Berkeley home.
So when you say agreement or offer a new home, are you going to meet us free for the price, or we have to now find £200,000 to pay for your Berkeley home? Is that going to stay here? Because I was back to my question where I was saying, yes, you will obviously buy, or you'll give the residents a property like in the area, so they don't have to go. But the property that you're going to give the residents, is that a swap? Are they getting, or are they going to have to add on more money to the property?
Use the mic!
That I was saying, that goes back to my question. I seen the slide where you said that the last resort would be compulsory buy, but the first resort would be offering an affordable home. My question is that going to be a swap for a home, so they don't have to add anything onto it, so you're going to find a similar property for them just to move into, or are they going to have to add on extra money onto that property, that Berkeley home that you're stating, to be able to stay within a property?
Okay, so if I just give a bit of context around acquisition and CPO. So, ideally, we would acquire a property by negotiation, and that would be at market value. Okay? Market value. So your point around my mother bought her home under right to buy with a discount, is that relevant? That's not relevant. Yeah? So the discount that you used wasn't relevant. Do you understand my point?
Property valued at the value rate at the time. So if your property is worth, say, 200,000, yeah, and your property
Sorry, I'm going to have to say you must have the microphone in order to
Sorry, so I just wanted to confirm, are we saying that the leasehold, the property for a leasehold, if it were if you got 150,000 from the council, your property is going to cost 260 because they already, we can afford 260,000. So we then have to find the short of another 150,000, 200,000 to be able to live in that house and own that home.
I'm saying you've got a couple of options. If somebody wants the city via Barclays to acquire their home and go and move elsewhere outside of Ladywood, they can do that. However, I think the whole purpose of this is to try and keep the community in Ladywood. I can't stand here and talk to you about figures, I'm afraid, because we're so early on in the process.
I understand, but then you can't ask us to have questions if you're not going to give us the answers. I'm not asking you about how much the property is worth or how much you're going to give me. I am asking a simple question. How are the people going to be able to sell their property and get the same value of property within the area, or are they going to have to add money on top of that to stay in the area? But it's all good you saying, oh yeah, we want the community to stick together if you can afford it.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Please can we listen to what is being said?
Nothing's been said.
That will avoid seeing the seats down.
Gareth.
You've been asked it in numerous ways.
Yes.
You still failed to answer what is actually quite a simple
Are we going to have to stay here with what we have already? That's what we're asking.
I totally understand what you're asking, and I'm trying to answer
Please come with you and answer the question. This is putting out the other questions. No.
Why are you taking the microphone?
Wait to hear it before answer.
Yeah, those are the questions. Well, it's the answer.
You have to change the question.
Very long finger.
Answer the question. Answer the question. Come on. Answer the question. Answer the question. Answer the question.
I will try and answer the question.
Right.
Would you like to listen to me? So in terms of private owners, people who bought their own home, we've said clearly already on the slide deck that there are options. You can either, the city could acquire your home, you could take that money and go somewhere else, or you can stay within the area and move into a family home. I can't say any more.
No, answer the question. Answer the question. When are the seven now?
Listen to this question. Well, I want to hear this question and the answer to it.
My question
You want to answer, then it
My question is, as a house owner, you talk about market value. Because we're going through the generation, does that mean the prices of the houses have already dropped?
Oh, right, okay, sorry. Yes, no, in terms of compulsory purchase, the property would be valued in what we would call, and I don't want to get into too technical language because we've already been pulled up before, but assuming the scheme isn't there. Yeah?
The one that
No. The whole point that it doesn't take that, it will value it as though.
So what would the prices of the houses be once they've been built? Because well, you must have some kind of idea.
Can I just give some context around?
Berkeley Scott, this is a question. What percentage of your properties are 50% share, 50% buy and 50% rent? Because it seems like you don't want to answer this question because you know that they're not going to be able to afford a property. Now, looking at your portfolio, I see that you do a lot of 50% buy and 50% rent properties. So it means that for residents to stay in this area, they're going to have to use the money of their value for the property and still then rent to the council.
Yes. I love how
That's correct.
Okay, so to answer your question, as part of the scheme proposals from Berkeley, there are around 630 council homes on site, plus the tower blocks. The proposal is that those 630 homes will be replaced. If there's a 2-bed home, it will be replaced with a 2-bed home, and it will still be a council home. It will not. No. I'm just wondering if any of my colleagues in housing are here to answer the housing strategy question.
No, they've all run off.
No, in terms.
Is it a microphone? It's a microphone.
Why did we come to listen to questions and questions and questions and answers?
Exactly. I've got a good mind to get my microphone out and start making some noise.
Right, we're going to take a further question, please.
Oh, you don't mind to throw a chart? Anything about your church?
Could someone take a question again, please?
About your church? No, it's the police
If someone could give me the question again, please.
Again, are you
Hello.
The question again.
I'm sorry about the people who own their properties, but I live in a council flat. I've lived there for 32 years. I just wanted to know what was going to happen to us.
What sort of hand over to Justin, thank you.
Is this a tower block flat or a low rise?
Yeah, thanks for the question. A tower block is that.
Can't do that,
Sorry. So you're in a property that you're going to be rehoused from. You will get a dedicated support from a housing officer to take you through the process. You will be able to, your choice will be either to bid on properties anywhere in the city. If you want to remain in Ladywood, then we want you to remain there, so we're not breaking up the community. Yeah, so that is your option. As a council tenant. Well, the property that she's in will be replaced by another council property. The property that you'll be allocated will be under the allocations policy through housing need. But you will remain a BCC, Birmingham City Council tenant. Has that answered the question?
Moving back down towards the back of this side of the meeting, hopefully we will be able to get towards the front of the next section.
Well, we will.
So, where is the microphone at the moment, please? Thank you.
Hello? I live in them houses there. Why are you knocking them down? What is the problem with them? The brand new houses, why are they coming down? And then you say you're going to move us all together. What does that mean? Kick us out of our houses? All together?
Could you say which address, what street?
Over there, the new houses. Power present over there.
Housing Association.
Yeah.
Is this Midland Heart?
Yeah.
Midland Heart Housing.
You can't roll it.
Hi, thank you for your question about the housing association properties. They are within the red boundary of Ladywood that we've been looking at, and just like the other, the council tenants, we will be working with Midland Heart, so we will be replacing those properties like for like. I think we need to just sort of stepping back in terms of the regeneration and why we're looking at the wider area is that we can create a place, as you know, one of my colleagues said, that we can all, you know, be proud of, and it's going to have all those facilities that actually you don't. That will actually be able to give you the new schools, community facilities.
We don't need new prisons. We don't need new prisons.
Next question.
We don't need schools. That's it, I'm getting it out.
About private landlords. What's the situation about people who rent? Yeah.
Both!
Which streets or
Private landlords.
private landlord?
Yeah.
You know what private landlord? You know what private landlord?
We're in Ladywood, please. Hello? Hello? Stop asking people's addresses. We're in Ladywood. And that's data protection, actually, so would you mind stop doing that? Exactly.
Yeah, I'm renting off a private landlord that Birmingham City Council pays my rent. So I've lived in Ladywood for 49 years, so does that affect me in any way?
I'm Naomi. I'm the head of strategy for Birmingham City Council. Before I say anything, I just want to say that I'm really sorry that this has been such an awful experience for everyone. It was no, genuinely, it wasn't what people wanted today, and it wasn't what any of the team wanted. So I'm sorry, genuinely.
You should be.
In terms of people's individual circumstances, which is what everyone wants the answer to, and I totally get that, because I would want the same if I lived here, and I would feel the same if I lived here. And I don't, but I would feel the same. What?
Answer the question.
No. Bear with me 2 minutes. Bear with me 2 minutes. So there would be people in this room that. Can you hear me now? Better? There will be people in this room that own their property. There will be people that live in private rented accommodation. There will be people that live in social rent. There will be people that have lots of different individual circumstances. And honestly, I can't answer all your individual circumstances today. But bear with me. What we will do is when we have the detail, because what we know now, whether you believe me or not, what we know now is we know who the development partner is going to be, and we know what the area is going to be. Bear with me, what we don't know is what's going to happen to every individual home. We've got some key principles and key things that I think Catherine's tried to say in terms of, how many are going to be put back, how many houses, what it looks like. But we're going to have to work together with each individual household to get to a point where we know what's going to... I'm genuinely not... Excuse me. There's a difficult position. Bear with me just 1 second. There's a difficult position there because we know something, right? As we know who our development partner is going to be. We know something, and we know exactly what the area is going to look like. So we have to tell you that, rightly, but we don't know everything else yet. And what we will commit to is doing a residence offer whereby for each type of tenancy or ownership or whatever your property type is, there'll be a written document that confirms when we have the detail what that's going to look like, but we can't tell you that now because we don't know it. Now I know that isn't the answer that everyone wants, but that's 100% as honest as I can be.
Can we move further to the back and then round?
Hello. Attention, everybody. Attention. Hold on.
Yeah, where is the microphone now?
I'll give it back now. Right, we're just going to move on to the next question now.
Okay, yes, please.
Yep.
Thank you. Hello. I would like to ask a question. From the beginning of the meeting today, you've told us certain things that you've implemented. You've said that you've sent us letters over how many months, years? None of us had any letters. You must have posted it back to the council house. Second of all, we as the people that live in Ladywood, I think we have a right to know what's going on. Don't give us the cock and bull, tell us straight, because it is affecting people's lives. It's affecting a lot of the people in the community. I, for one, in the community, I've lived here for 30 odd years. I've got a 3-bedroom masonette. I want to downsize. I work in Ladywood. I work at City Hospital. So therefore, why can't I be able to get what I want? I've spoken, I've emailed you, Miss Hartley. I've emailed you, Mr. Moore. You have not got back to me.
You don't get back to us.
But yet, you want to come here today and tell us that you've been posting and telling us that what you're going to do for the regeneration.
No.
Right, do we have another question, please?
Yeah, that's fine. This is for Albert, right? City Council, Code of Conduct. You owe everyone in this room a duty of care. Where is it? Where's that duty of care for everyone here? You'd like us for our votes, wouldn't you? If it's voting time, you'll do anything for us. Right. Second question. I'm a homeowner. The people who are renters, are they going to the top of the waiting list? Are they? And the third one, are we having individual meetings? As owner-occupiers, we need a separate meeting.
Everybody needs a meeting.
Yes, I would agree with that. I do think that the leaders of this regeneration need to meet with owner-occupiers of council properties, housing association properties and private properties. Look, doing it this way is not going to get us anywhere, but that is what the consultation is about. Okay, who's next? Come up this way. Can you just give your street so that we know just the context of your question?
Hi. Can I go ahead? Okay, I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Stop asking for people's addresses. It's data protection.
I'm unable to hear this question. Can you quieten down?
Now coming with that question, you're not answering that. You're not answering that. So how are you going to move forward?
I'd like to hear this question. Sorry. Can we hear your question, please?
Okay. Sorry, I've got a couple of questions, so I'm going to try and frame it all. Firstly, I want to understand the selection process for St. Joseph's, because I read the decision policy on your website, and my understanding was there was initially 3 construction companies that was bidding for this renovation, and subsequently 2 of them dropped out, and Birmingham City Council decided to proceed with them. Can you explain to me how partnering with a profit-orientated organization is going to create value for money for we as residents of Ladywood, but also as taxpayers? Secondly, why haven't you published a decanting policy on your website, considering the amount of people that you're going to move away from this location? I think that should have been one of your priorities before we even had this meeting, to allow us to have the understanding of what strategy you are undertaking. And it seems to me that you guys are being incredibly shady in how you're approaching this, because as far as I work for a commercial property organization, and I know that Ladywood's land is key land that you guys want to take away, and therefore this is a process where you want to clear out the current residents and bring in new people. Sorry, what's the And also, I want to understand, out of the over 7,000 units that you're going to build here, about 1,400 units is designated for social housing across the 4 phases. Out of that 1,400, about 80% of that constitutes the high-rises. Can you explain to me how that 20% that is yet to be built across that 4 phases is going to be allocated to the current tenants that are renting from Birmingham City Council, please?
Hi, thank you. Can I answer the question about the selection of St. Joseph's? Because I've been involved in that since the start, back in 2019. Yeah, I'm answering the question about how we got to select St. Joseph's. Okay? So it was done through, because this is not, it's a partnership that we're entering into, we had to do it under certain regulations, and we went out initially and there were 3 parties who expressed interest in the development opportunity. And we got some way down the road with all of those 3, and then the 2 other parties dropped out, or one dropped out during COVID because they had a change in their policy of how the size of projects they wanted to get involved in, and then the other one dropped out, can't remember the exact time, but in between then and now. So we did take legal advice, because obviously we needed to maintain competitive tension with Barclays to make sure the city's getting the best deal for residents. And that's why we were able to take a report to the council's cabinet back in, seems a long way away, but it was only June 2023. And what that gave us authority to do is to enter into this partnership with Barclays. There are commitments in terms of what they will deliver, what they will do, what we will do as a city. But this is really, so why we're here tonight is to really start talking to you about that, because not everything is set in stone. It's a huge scheme. It's going to take 20 years to deliver. We've got commitments around the replacement of the council housing. We've got commitments around replacement of schools, public open space, etc. In terms of the number of houses going in, obviously all of this is going to be subject to consultation and has to go through the planning system. Now, I'm totally separate to the planning authority. Birmingham is a planning authority. It's totally independent of anything that I'm doing in the property world. So that will be fully consulted on. And as Will and Joel have said, well, we do, to be honest, yes, we do want more houses because we, as Naomi said, there is a housing crisis in the city. So we need to be trying to create as many homes we can. Thank you, hopefully I've answered that.
Hello. I have a question about the Birmingham City Council tenants, those who solely rely on the council for a roof over their head. Where are people like us going to go? Because I live in a flat, a 3-bedroom flat. Will we be rehoused? If so, then which area and when?
Hello? Yeah, thanks for that question. As I said before, all the BCC, Birmingham City Council...
I can't hear you properly, sorry.
Do you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Yeah, so...
Come on, engineer. Does anybody know how to do the job?
Okay. Birmingham City Council tenants will remain Birmingham City Council tenants. If they want to remain in Ladywood, yes. Hang on, let me just answer
Where are you putting us all? That's what we want to know.
Well, at the moment, we're saying you can stay in Ladywood.
How can we stay there? Will you not be down the houses?
Because we're going to build the other properties first. That's what it's phased. Hang on, we've got loads of questions going on at the same time. Did the lady that asked the question, has that answered your question? So the question was, will you still have a roof over your head as a Birmingham City Council tenant going forward? Yes, if you want to stay in Ladywood, you can. If you want to move out of Ladywood, you can do that also. But that's your choice. This is a Birmingham... There's a choice system on the Birmingham website. You can bid on properties around the city. But your housing officer will help you do that, if that's what you choose to do at the time. You'll have an interview, and that's where you'll be able to say where you want to go. If you want to retain your Ladywood community, you can do that. That's what we're trying to do here. You can stay as a council tenant there. Say again? So I can't hear the question, sorry. I can't...
Sorry, we are answering one question at a time. When you interrupt the person answering, you're interrupting the whole meeting and the answer to the person asking. The answer to that question is Birmingham City Council tenants will have the choice to move to a brand new property within the development or if you wish to move elsewhere in Birmingham. Okay, can we have the next question?
Hello. How do I contact the housing officer, or will they contact us? They will contact us. I can't hear you.
Hello? Yes, it's Robbie. So the housing officer will contact you once you come up in the phase of rehousing. So we're going to do it over a number of phases. So when they come to do your property for rehousing, they will contact you to arrange an interview, and they'll explain everything about that interview.
Hello. Will they contact us
Yes, they will contact you. Has that answered your question?
Hello. You do need to shout because they're not listening. Right, I live in a 4-bedroom house. I'm a freeholder. What to St Joseph's, what are the sizes of your homes? Are you doing 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms?
Hello, can you hear me? Right. So the sizes of the homes will be in accordance with the national standards, so it won't be any smaller necessarily. I said the sizes of the homes will be in accordance with national space standards, so they will be defined in accordance with Birmingham City Council's policy. So it could be, if you've got a 1-bed, it'll be broadly the same size. I don't know how big your property is. So 4-bedroom house.
So can we have some peace and quiet in the background? Otherwise we will never get full answers. Everyone can hear to every question.
So a 4-bedroom home, I think, as you say, it's the size of the housing that will be re-provided will be in accordance with planning. So it will be making sure that it's fit for purpose and that it's the right size for the people that need it. Are they going to be prefabricated? Potentially. We don't know at this stage whether it will be prefabricated or not. It's a long process. We want to, as I say, this is the start of the journey.
There will be larger homes within the development. For families, yeah. Who is next with the microphone, please? Who is next with the microphone, please?
Hello? First thing I'd like to say is to these people at the front, this is Ladywood, not Hollywood. Second thing is, we're human beings. We have not been asked to move or whatever. We're being forced to. What are we being forced to do? We've got rights. We're human beings. We've had family homes. I've lived in Ladywood for 40 years, and there's a lot of people live there longer than that. Now you're telling us what we've got to do. Why can't we tell you what we want? Because at the end of the day, you're messing with our lives. We've got people who are elderly. They can't move now, they'll kill them stone dead. And do you want that on your conscience?
Hello, I'd like to answer that, please. I'd like to answer that, please. Absolutely, I totally understand what you're saying. And if we're coming across as that we're standing here telling you what we're doing, that's not how it should be. What we would really like to do, I mean, there's 200 of you in the room now, but working with, my team in the city and the team that Barclay are going to bring on board, we need to get you guys all involved in this so we can hear your voice properly throughout the process. Now Will did talk about various, how we're going to deal with communication, what's going to happen over the next 6 months. So it's really important for your voices to be heard throughout that journey. So what we intend to do is...
Listen to our voice first. Listen to us for our opinion first.
you want to go through this
So
process?
we are only answering one question.
So I'm still answering this gentleman's question. So there will be opportunities really soon to sort of be part of that community forum that we're going to be establishing. I know there are already existing community groups in Ladywood, and obviously we need to bring them with us. And we've got, my colleagues in the room are probably better placed to talk about the community engagement and how we'll do that than I am. But that certainly is our intention and our wish that that's how we approach it. Thank you.
Who's next in line?
Hello? Yeah. I live in a Midland Heart property. I'm overcrowded. I've been on at the Birmingham City Council housing website for over 10 years now. Will I have to move into another Midland Heart property that's going to be overcrowded, or will I actually get to have the right amount of rooms on a Birmingham City Council property?
Thank you. Hello, can you hear me? To answer that question, we will not allocate you a property which you would be overcrowded in. We can't do that. So if you move to a property that's been provided through this scheme, that's been replacing the one that you're in now in Midland Heart, it will have to suit your housing need. Does that answer the question?
Hello? Okay. I got a question about businesses. I'm talking for like some businesses in King's Edward Road. So lots of people there, they got businesses been there like for 10 years or over, 10 years. And what happens to these people? When you're developing the area, what they're going to do? They're going to close their properties, the restaurants, the laundrette. How do you relocate them? So what's the situation for all the small businesses that are renting properties in the area?
Okay.
Thank you. So your question is about what we will do. So you're an existing tenant of the council in the business or a private? Okay, super. So as part of the scheme, there will be new retail facilities, and we would like to retain as many of the existing commercial local businesses. I don't know if you're around the corner on St Vincent Street or further up within the scheme. So hopefully that answers your question.
Hello? Oh, hi.
Sorry, if I've not answered your question, can you please give it me again so I can understand?
Sorry, I'll explain. In the specific, we go to a restaurant with my friends, and we'll be renting for years. Now, if you close the restaurant, if it's closed for a couple of years, what are we going to do? Are you going to give us another location where we can keep operating? Do we have to close the restaurant, wait for 2 years? Is the rent going to go up? Is the rent stay the same? That's the question.
Okay, the intention will be, as with the rest of the scheme, that we would re-provide, so there should be continuity, so you're not in a position where you are not trading for 5 years. Yeah?
So once you've not there,
I think this is the King Edward Road shops, isn't it?
Yes.
Right. And they're in phase 4, the third.
Yes, and you're part of. So I know those well. My team actually manage those shops, so I will look out for you.
I think many of us have been to Gustavus sometime or another. Anyway, it's a 20-year scheme, remember. Okay.
Hello?
Who's next for the microphone, please?
Hello. Hi. I've just got a question for myself and my neighbours that live in the tower blocks. I do know that you said that will be okay, but I'm going to be honest, I don't believe you. I feel like we're going to see our neighbours, businesses, schools disappearing around us, and we're supposed to believe that if we're going to be okay, and I don't. I feel that we need some kind of confirmation, even legally from the council, that we will be okay. And the second question is, a lot of residents like myself have wanted to move, and they've told me, for example, with my daughter, she's disabled, and we live on the 13th floor. She's got scoliosis, and not too long ago, our flats were flooded. I had to get the firemen to carry her out, and they still wouldn't move me because we've got 2 bedrooms. Now, if we need housing, people that want to move out of their property should be given first pick in these new properties before any other people that are coming outside of Birmingham are coming to buy it. That's what I do think. But first of all, yes, give people who want to stay in the tower blocks legal confirmation that they're going to be able to, because we don't believe you. That's all.
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah. So the question, if I'm right, was that if you're living in a tower block at the moment, you can stay in the tower block. Is that correct? Because we did say earlier that all the residents in the tower blocks won't have to move out during the works that are going to, the refurbishment works. But if, for example, the example you gave about having a disabled family member, then if obviously you could ask to be moved to a property that's more suitable for those needs. But that doesn't, the Ladywood scheme doesn't stop contact with Birmingham City Council in terms of looking at your housing need in general anyway. Does that kind of answer the question? So the question was, are the residents in the tower blocks going to have to move? You don't believe that they're not going to have to move, but we've told you that we're going to do the works while people are there, so you won't have to move, is the answer.
Until it's knocked down.
I think 3 of the 7 blocks have already been upgraded because of the Grenfell situation. The other 4 are on their way with modernisation, and the City Council is not going to modernise a tower block if they're going to chuck people out within a few years. So, you know, there's a reasonable future for all 7 of the tower blocks. And people who wish to move can apply in the normal way. Okay? And the internal bits will be improved. Who's the next person with the mic? Nick? We're only taking people who have the mic in their hand. Okay.
I'm a homeowner at Ashton Croft. So I just have a simple question about the compulsory purchase order. You say you're going to provide the market value. I just want to know at what date that market value will be taken, because obviously the price will be very different. The market value will be very different in 2020 compared to now, because now the price has gone down quite a lot. So what's the actual date of market value you're going to provide?
Okay, I'll try and answer that question, but this is not my area of speciality. But what I think will happen is, at the time that the negotiations start about your individual property, the property valuer will look at comparable values in the area. And as Catherine said earlier, they assume that the scheme does not exist, so that there's no detriment to those property values or change to the property values which might be affected by whole-scale demolition on an area. So that's the operational model for if and when we need to go through a CPO. Because as we said earlier, the intention is to do voluntary acquisitions ahead of that and only use a compulsory purchase order as a last resort. Did that answer the question? Did that answer the question? Whoever asked it?
It's an answer. Who's next to the microphone, please?
Sorry, no, that was not the question. The question was, what date will the market value be taken as at? Because the value changes over time.
Okay, I'll pass you over to Catherine.
No, there's...
Okay, so in terms of the market valuation, If we are acquiring by negotiation, which is what we would like to do, then it will be whenever we have that conversation, when planning has been received, because obviously we need the planning in place before we would start doing that. So it would be at that point in time. Okay? Now if...
Roughly what date would that be?
But that could, depending on where you are in the scheme, I really can't answer that, I'm afraid. In terms of CPO, which is if we have to do a compulsory purchase order, the valuation is set after planning and 18 months after that, okay? So it's quite a complex process, CPO. And you know, that's why we would like to avoid that and deal with it by negotiation. So it's simply when we have that conversation with you.
Okay.
And obviously, you know, I'm a valuer, I know about market values. The point about, you know, I've got a property now, what will happen to it if the world changes, then the people who are valuing are significantly experienced to be able to sort of make those calls. And obviously you would be represented, you would have your own person representing you, and that would be paid for by the city. Just to give you some reassurance in that. So you've got your person acting for you.
All the more reason to have separate meetings of people who are in the
It's
same
not really a question and answer if you don't actually
so
have a conversation.
And get a really more detailed answer and work out how they want to go.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor. I mean, it is there are differences, so I think we would welcome that opportunity to have the separate conversations, whether you're a homeowner, you own the house freehold, you've been in it 20 years or 5 minutes, or a leaseholder, etc. And my team will be able to help address some of those concerns you've got and explain how we've done it elsewhere, because we have dealt with regeneration schemes elsewhere. This is the difference here is that we are looking to be able to decant people in one move. And I don't think that's really come across. Sorry, I'm answering my own question here. But I think that's quite a point to make in terms of the scheme.
We have one person with a microphone and we have 15 minutes left. So can we please...
Hello. Hi, I'd like to answer your question. My name is Laura. I'm with LadywoodUnite.com. Everyone in this room gets 30 minutes free with a surveyor because your property is at risk of a compulsory purchase order. You can go to LadywoodUnite.com and find out about that. That was a ridiculous question. My question for the councillors is why you think we're going to elect you next year and when you're going to start... start paying our legal fees. By the time you put out the documents that you have now to the public, Local Government Association best practice is that you know which legal fees and when you're going to start paying for us. And don't look confused, I can send you the documents.
I tried to tell you, but I also didn't want to get people behind you because I said about not being in the video.
Oh gosh, what's on your face, lovely?
What's on your face? Would they like
There are no elections next year, so okay.
Well, when it is.
Anyway, so you don't work anyway.
Hello. First, I would like to know that you sent us letters, but did you ever actually care to know what we wanted to do? Yeah. Did we have a consent? Did you ask for one? No. Did anybody say yes to this shit show?
No.
Can you answer that, please?
We certainly get lots of complaints about the state of our council properties on the central Ladywood estate.
Dozens.
And we certainly have lots of people, tenants in particular, who would very much like to move out of them. And who would also like to stay in the Ladywood area. That's our experience of it.
Why is that? Oh. Is that because
we want to rebuild them.
Make him point at him. Point at him. Point at him.
I have another question. So you said that you want to relocate all these people on different phases and then relocate them back to their new houses. So what's happening? You're going to build new houses around their existing houses. What's happening? I'm trying to understand.
We need to understand. We need to understand.
I think this is one when we enter the consultation period and we start looking at actually what is going to happen on the ground.
Okay.
What we actually want for the area.
So who's going to pay for all these people to get relocated and then go back to their houses? Especially the people with disabilities.
Hold the mic on, mate.
Holding close to the microphone. Close to your mouth. Holding close to your mouth.
Hello. Hello. I've been here in Ladywood for 30 years. I started as a teacher here. I'm going to read you what the Labour website says. Representing Labour, our councillors state, councillors are expected to represent the residents in the ward and their local community. Act as the voice of their constituents. Raising any local concern within the council on a range of matters related to work or of the council. Labour councillors, in particular, are Labour's representative in the local community. Implement Labour values and doing their work every single day. Do you know, I've listened to everything, I've done so much work on this, and some of the things are absolutely shocking. I've got all the letters I got that sent through to me, and these letters didn't say very much, but what they did say, they gave a whole lot of principles for us to look at, and the principles were new high-quality social housing. We have hardly got any, 7,500, and there's something, the smallest percentage. Also, affordable homes. Affordable homes comes at 427, and that's in phase 4. By that point, I'll be nearly 80 years old. Now, what it also says here is, we will appoint the partner who puts forward an outline of the plan that best reflects the principles and shows clearest understanding of Central Ladywood community. You, and that's us lot, will be helping to ensure that the partner sticks to the principles and delivers the best regeneration for Central Ladywood. So far, is our partner going to do that? I doubt it very, very much. Now, something that was mooted earlier on was, and this is the shocking bit because nobody's looked into this, as I went on the website, so we saw this most wonderful houses that St Joseph had put on. So we saw Woodbury Down, absolutely beautiful. I congratulate you. Starting price for a 1-bedroom flat is 558,000. If you want a house, it's 1,545,000. Now, if we move next to Kidbourne Village, which was mentioned, 1-bedroom flat, 430,000. Moving up to 742,000. It gets worse. What was on the report was the 12 Trees Park. Now, I thought, brilliant. It's 9 miles out, 30 miles by tube, and no bedroom flat. That means no bedrooms. 520,000. Now, these are the people here that are sitting here that are representing Ladywood. I think that we've been thrown under the bus due to the ineptness, the absolute ineptness of a Labour council who goes nearly $1 million in debt, gives our land away, throws us out, and gives us to a really expensive company. And if you see the flats in Birmingham, they are really expensive. Height of luxury. Who can afford that here? So you tell us exactly how much these houses are going to cost, and what was said over there really important because sometimes it's mooted. I live in a 3-bedroom house. It's in a private estate. I bought it 30 years ago. The European grant paid for that. It was the first regeneration. It was a forever house. And I wonder, am I going to be replaced with a 3-bedroom house, 2 parking spaces, and quite a large garden? Now, the councillor says they put lots of money onto their flats. They're not going to be chucking you. We've put lots of money onto our houses. My house was built at the same time as Symphony Hall, ICC. They're still standing. What's wrong with my house? We put a lot of money into it, and by the way, I have had mine valued. And the reason I had it valued is I spoke to somebody from the council, and they told me they were going to put a cap on it. So that's something I've absolutely urged in a letter not to happen. But finally, I feel for everybody here. These are our Labour councillors that do not respond to our emails. So my question is, tell us about your expensive houses that you have 9 miles outside London, a knock-bedroom flat for 520,000. How's that going to compare to Birmingham houses? How is that going to enable every single person here to move back in?
Woo!
Hello? Hi. Right, so the properties that you're referring to are in a different part of the country. They're in London, and it's a different value. We don't know yet. It will be at the market value. It will be at the market value. So it will, as I say. We don't know. It might go down, might go up, but it will be at the market value of the day.
It's over there.
Hello.
It's over there.
Right. I'm a resident from Spring Hill, Middle Wayview, and for over 25, maybe 30 years now, Middle Wayview has been ignored. We're not getting anything. Some of us don't own our properties. We live in dirty, squalor homes, mold, leaking, rats, mice, neighbours that are just messing up the areas, right? So when you're coming with a regeneration plan, to be honest, this meeting has been disappointing. And the reason why it's been disappointing is because if you're going to hold these type of meetings, you've got to come with the answers. You can't, listen, Ladywood is a very hard community to get everybody together at meetings like this. When public meetings are taking place, the community does not come out to it. So when we've got a regeneration meeting like this, people are coming with questions and they need the answers to. We do not have 20 years to wait. I've been living here since 1995. Nothing has happened in Ladywood. We don't have another 3 to 4, 25 years. By the time that happens, most of us probably would have left, or some of us probably would have passed away. Touch wood that, I'm not wishing death on everybody, but you know what I mean, right? So if you're gonna come to have these type of meetings, you've gotta come with the answers. You've gotta come with the answers. There's plenty of people that have so much answers, so much questions, but you're not giving us anything. And it's really disappointing because the next public meeting that happens, how many people are gonna turn out to it as much as this? You're wasting people's times, right? So what